All right, and I've got us set for recording, so everybody do be aware. I am going to make the attempt to get this uploaded afterwards. So, Laura, I'm going to mix up these questions from what we did before a few years ago. So it's going to be like a new quiz for you.
Well, we'll see if I can get my timeline right. Who knows where and when.
Yeah, I know. Let's see. So I posted this just so folks know. And you said you saw it on Instagram. It went through One Health Heroes, which is the podcast. It got announced.
Oh, cool.
Announced on DVM Facebook group DVM Gain, I believe. That's for alternate careers, non-clinical careers. So who knows? And I asked people to share. So, okay, I'll tell you what, I think we should try to get started. It's a couple of minutes in, and theoretically recording is going. So, okay, Laura, unmute yourself. We're going to start with just a very brief, by the way, everybody, Laura and I have known each other since 2008 or 9.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
cool.
like that. Mhm.
Yeah. So Laura, just briefly introduce yourself and briefly tell us what you're doing right now, because then we're going to go back to the beginning and you're going to give us, like that's everything that happened from the beginning. For the
I'm sorry, Donna, can I interrupt?
Veterinarian.
Yeah,
Can
Jenny wants
I
to say
interrupt
something.
that? Yeah, did our other speaker join us too?
Yep, Captain.
Okay, good. So just
Schall.
making sure, because I have very limited ability to see or hear what's going on with this phone. Thank
I
you.
know it's going to be tricky. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Okay, so all righty. What's going on? Introduce yourself, Laura, just real briefly, and tell us briefly what you're doing right this minute is your career, please.
Yeah, sure. I'm Laura Rothfeldt. I am the state public health veterinarian for the Arkansas Department of Health. So I work out of Little Rock. And I have to clarify my title almost every day that I am not the state veterinarian, because even my own agency calls me the state veterinarian, and that person is regulatory and works for Department of Agriculture. So I have to clarify all the time that I am the public health veterinarian. So I am the only person at a Department of Health who crosses over between the people and the animals. So.
Great. So, all right, tell us from the very beginning, how did you know you wanted to be a veterinarian? And give us a little tiny jog back into the distant past. Tell us about that.
Not so distant past. So I kind of wanted to be a little bit of everything, I guess, my whole life as I was growing up. I always loved animals. I always thought that I was a misplaced child and I should have grown up on a farm, but I didn't. I grew up in a city. So I ended up um, going to college. I had plans of going to medical school, had plans of doing this and that and a little bit of everything. I got involved in animal science and got involved in animal production, and so then got interested again in veterinary schools. So I think by the end of my 3-4 years, I decided that it was about time that maybe I should make a plan to continue going to school, because I didn't want to leave Stillwater, Oklahoma, which, if anybody knows where Oklahoma State University is, it's a fantastic little town. And I loved it there. So I decided I should probably apply to vet school. But at one point I was like, I'm going to become a veterinarian, and then I'm going to apply to medical school, and then maybe I'll get my law degree, and then maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that.
Oh, wow.
I love
Yeah.
learning. So I kind of wanted to just continue
Yeah.
just
So
learning.
then, so speaking of undergraduate, then for college, you were at Oklahoma State University from
Mhm.
the very beginning.
Yes, for
Yeah.
the full 8 years I was there. I have a
So,
dog that just opened the door and came in. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Never
Yeah,
seen him do that.
I'm here to say that we're going to probably have dogs and cats and maybe birds who are going to jump
Right.
in our veterinary
Yeah,
Zoom. I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah,
I chased all mine outside. They're outside for a little while.
yeah,
Theoretically,
yeah.
they're going to be quiet. Who knows?
So funny.
So you got into to OSU, but did you end up getting a 4-year degree then? You got your bachelor's?
I did. I got my bachelor's of science in animal science with pre-vet. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when did you graduate from vet school?
That would be 26 years ago, 2000. So just a baby.
2000, the year 2000.
I
All right.
know.
And
I was
have you done any, I'm
Mhm.
you said you loved learning.
Yeah.
What did you do school wise after vet school when you graduated 2000? Then what happened as far as your trajectory?
Yeah. So at that time, I actually was interested in Therio. And so I had married an ag teacher at the time. And so he was, very involved in livestock animals. And then his family was involved in rodeo stock and breeding bulls. And so I was very interested in doing Therio stuff. So I had decided I would, I graduated and I went to work in a mixed animal practice in Oklahoma, and with the goal of probably eventually going back to school and getting, doing a residency or something like that. So that's kind of where I started. Had my first child, my first year out of veterinary school, and then 9/11 happened. Well, actually, 9/11 happened, and then 4 days later, I had my first child. And that
Oh,
sort of changed the whole trajectory of everything. So I had, Caleb was born on September 15th, 2001. So
mhm.
that sort of changed the trajectory of the rest of my career path, which
How
we
did
can talk about.
how did that happen? I mean,
Mhm.
what was it? It affected you, and that's what you were looking at that point to join the Army.
Yeah. So
Mm.
I was working mixed animal when I was still pregnant, and eventually got to the point where I couldn't do what I was being asked to do by a rural practice, and decided that I should take some time off. And so I did. And then I worked, after I had the baby, I worked a couple of days at the livestock auction at Oklahoma City, which is actually the world's largest livestock auction, is what there used to be their claim to fame. But um,
Mhm.
so I did that, and the summer following 9/11, well, let me back up. So yes, that whole event, for those of us that have lived through it, was very, we can remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So having the baby and bringing him into this world and realizing everything that was going on at the time, that sort of changed my whole um, look on life, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what you would say. But anyways, so then the next summer, we had actually gone to visit a family member who was teaching at West Point at the military
Mm.
academy. And
Mhm.
so, and Caleb was 9 months old at the time. And we actually, for a couple of days before we went up to West Point, we were in downtown Manhattan, right at Ground Zero. And we actually got to see the fireworks for the first 4th of July after that event was down there. And we got to
Mhm.
see, I mean, Ground Zero was literally still smoking like 9 months
Oh,
later.
geez.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Had you been contacted or had any knowledge about the Army Veterinary Corps prior to that?
No.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I had not, I mean, I remember in veterinary school, like recruiters and stuff, but I was totally not interested at all.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So then you were at West Point. What happened?
So when I was at West Point, then a family member who was teaching history there talked to us about how the Army had a great way to see the world, and they would pay off my student loans and like all these wonderful things about it. And I was looking for a change and a way to get out of Oklahoma. And it just seemed like at the time that it just hit me that like this, I don't know, it was just like I just have to do it.
The stars were in
So
alignment.
home. I
Hmm.
went home and I told my parents, and my dad, who was a second or a first lieutenant in the Army when he got out, he told me that I was gonna have to wear a helmet and it was gonna mess up my hair. And so he was
Hey,
he
I
was
can attest to
so
the fact that
crazy.
your hair looks so awesome, and I think we were all
Thanks.
jealous of how you
Yeah.
used to coif your hair with
Oh yeah.
with when you were wearing your uniform. Yeah,
Back
well
when it was
that's
short.
that is just so cool. So since then, do you have any kind of other degrees or board certifications as
Yeah,
well?
so let me back up to vet school. So there was the
Mhm.
dual MPH program. It was new at the time when I was going through vet school, and I started it, but then I decided that's just too much work.
Oh,
So
so much.
I
Yeah.
know it was too much work. So I didn't. I regret that looking back on it now as a grown up, I guess. But so I didn't do that. But I did end up getting veterinary preventive medicine boarded in 2008,
Mm.
just using experience instead of like education and stuff. So yeah, so I was
Mhm.
able to pass that exam. So I got that board certification there. And then yeah, so then I didn't do any additional schooling actually, but what I did do was through the Army, I did the Epidemic Intelligence Service, so the CDC 2-year applied
Yes.
epi fellowship. So those are the disease detectives that are out on the front lines anytime, there's something new going on. And so I was able to do that. So I got assigned when I was in the Army. Actually, that was my active duty. So I guess we can go back that I did active duty reserves back in active duty. So I sort of jumped around. Plus, I did Department of Army civilian job for a few years while I was in the reserves. So
Yep.
I would say that I've kind of done a little bit of it all. So
When you and it's interesting because I think I recall when you were doing that that is it like an internship? I
it's
can't
called a
remember.
fellowship.
A fellowship. When you
Yeah.
were doing that fellowship, I remember, and then you had, and I think they kind of headhunted you because you were there in Arkansas.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was the whole.
Yes.
That's how it kind of like,
Yes.
hey, do you want this job when you're done?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh,
that's how it kind of works. So I feel like when I give talks to pre-vet clubs, I talk to them about sort of the meandering path that we all have had. I feel like all veterinarians have had just sort of this meandering. I mean, there's a few that have not and have done the same thing, but most of us have this sort of path that just sort of meanders around. And that's kind of how it went, is it kind of meandered that way. And when I did the EIS, I was still an active duty Army service, officer. And then I had to go back to the Army and I was a FIGV instructor at the time, which is the first year graduate veterinary education
yeah,
program. So we trained the new um,
Brad.
vet captains coming in. So I
Mhm.
did that. And in the time, that's when I got recruited back to the Arkansas Department of Health because their state public health vet was retiring. And so they actually reached out to me and they asked if I was interested. Um,
Yeah. And
so.
yeah, how fortuitous that it worked out that way. And I love how you say that, we all tend to meander. What I also think is interesting is that these opportunities arise and then you have to decide, are you going to walk through that door? Are
Mhm,
you going to pursue it?
exactly.
And so I'm sure that was um, quite a decision to make to go to live there. Because I want to say your FIGV, was that in Tennessee or Kentucky when you were
Yeah,
in
it was
charge
at
of
Fort
that?
Campbell. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, moving around is one thing in the Army since they, one way or another, are going to move us even as reservists. Like, by the way, your unit is now in Lubbock, Texas.
Hmm.
That happened to me.
Yeah.
And and so yeah, but still, finally just making that decision. So you've been in Arkansas, oh my gosh, how many years now?
So it's been 8 years. It's the longest place I've lived as an adult. Yes. So the
Hmm.
longest position I've had, which is really surprising because I feel like I just got here the other day. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to touch back on something you remarked upon when you had looked at that dual program during vet school for the MPH. Was that something where in the back of your mind, I mean, I know the theriogenol, that was one thing that was going on. You're like, oh, okay, maybe breeding's going to be it that I'm going to be. But it sounds to me like public health was kind of always ticking. Is that
Yeah.
something that made you look at this particular job and go, yeah, I want to aim for that. That's where that you saw the opportunity and public health had always been a place that was kind of near and dear to you. Is that
Yeah,
is
I
that
feel like it has.
timely?
And
Hmm.
I can tell you because I can remember at the very end of our senior year in veterinary school, the Oklahoma State Public Health vet came and did like a day or a half a day or something, and it was part of getting your license at the time. So, and I
Mhm.
remember thinking, well, she has a really cool job, but I'd never heard of it, and I didn't really know anything about it as I was going
Right.
through veterinary school.
Yeah,
And
because
so,
they don't really mention
no,
anything. It's so clinical when you're going through vet school.
exactly. And so I remember thinking, and I remember that like throughout my career thinking that would be so awesome. And I kept thinking, being in the military and moving around and stuff and having lived overseas and then coming back and, knowing my family's still there, like, oh, it would be great if I could have that job in Oklahoma, which is where my family is. But that person stayed forever. And you find out that in a lot of those positions, the people
You
do
do.
stay forever. And that's because it is like a golden ticket for the people that really like infectious diseases and zoonotic diseases. And that's where I'm at. So I just love it. Yeah, it's been sort of the culmination, I feel like, of my entire career. I get to like just put everything that I've learned into this, and it's got the best of all the worlds. A little bit of government thrown in here and there, but
Hmm. Yeah, no,
what's that when you've done so?
yeah. How do you feel the military prepared you for it? Because as you said, okay, well, I did not get the MPH, and aside from having the fellowship, do you think that that the different trainings we had prepared
Oh
you?
yeah, I definitely think that that did it. And then of course I got the preventive medicine boards, so I kind of cheated on that and got those, I got board certified without the NPH on that part, so that helped. But then the fellowship, I mean, with the fellowship, I was able to go to Sierra Leone for the Ebola outbreak, and I was an
Oh,
epi
I
investigator
remember.
there. Yeah, so I mean, I did some pretty cool stuff with that too. So I feel like that helped my resume. And then of course, just having done the fellowship at the health department where I was at, where a lot of it is looking for that right person that has the right fit. And so, and they all, it's kind of one of those things where you just got to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
So,
and I know we're going to touch on this, and get ready, Captain Schall, Jess. We are going to talk about, more specific Army career
mhm.
stuff, but I do want everybody to kind of be exposed to what happens just very briefly in the Army Veterinary Corps and the places you went to, as far as the fact that you had the opportunity to travel, which for me, I had my path into the Army Veterinary Corps was through the reserves, and I didn't join till I was 50. And I had never gone anywhere outside the US except for Canada and Mexico. So, wow, I
Mhm.
think about that all the time. And granted, the places I normally went were combat zones. That was,
Yeah,
in some ways, it was like so exciting.
right.
In other ways, it was like, oh my gosh, look where I'm at. This is the coolest. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, can you tell us the places you've been from? Because yes, it's true. The Army does let you get to cool places. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think about it right now specifically, especially with the things going on in Venezuela, because back in, I think it was 2008 actually, right before we met actually. So in the 109th, this was in the reserves. I got sent to Trinidad and Tobago for I don't know, 3 weeks or something for some training. And while I was there, I was told by somebody, I don't even remember who it was, but who said that in 24 hours, we're going to have you on a flight to Suriname. And I was like, well, gosh, where's that? I have no idea. This is before Google, folks. I have no
Oh
idea where
gosh, yeah.
Suriname is, right?
Totally.
So I'm in
Yeah.
Trinidad, and we're right off the coast of Venezuela. And so I'm always like, you're like sitting there thinking, like, why are we doing this? Because there's always this stuff going in the background in the political scene that we didn't really pay a lot of attention to. And so you start thinking about it like, why am I here? What are we doing here? And then why am I going into Suriname to do some food inspections for some Air Force folks that are going to come do some training? And why is an engineer going with me? And why are they building a base here? And why did they tell me that I just push this little beacon if I get, stuck somewhere in the wrong spot and some guy from Special Forces is going to come and rescue me? I mean, they put veterinarians in the weirdest places, right? So you're sitting there thinking, what am I doing here and why?
Mhm.
How did I end up, inspecting yeah, places for people to eat in these random countries out of anywhere, in places you'd never heard of, and by the next day you're going to be landing there, right? So yeah, it was pretty crazy. So, I did that, and then of course, you know, you followed me into Kosovo, so I did the
Yeah,
Kosovo
I
thing and
was in
everything.
Kosovo after you. They go, hey,
Yeah.
do you want to go to Kosovo? And I'm Googling Kosovo because I am so sorry. I did not know that Kosovo, oh, I didn't know where it was. Where's it? Where is
Right.
it? I said the Balkans.
Yeah. So yeah, it is
Oh my
I
gosh, a
mean,
country has to be at least a country for more than 20 years before I'll remember the name. Oh my gosh, Googling. Oh yeah, that looks good.
uh-huh. Yep. So
It
it's pretty
actually was
crazy.
incredible. It was
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Afghanistan.
getting to live, yeah, and then living in Germany, that was great. It was a fantastic experience to be able to do that and spend a little bit more time there than just, some of the other stuff, the mobilizations and stuff. So,
And I got to visit you because you
oh
got
yeah.
me out of Kosovo for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. For a conference.
I'll never forget it. She's like,
Yeah.
Donna has to
Mm.
be over at these conventions too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was 2 weeks out of Kosovo. And let's see, we also got to
Went to
Germany,
Poland.
Poland. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I traveled all over Europe when I was there, but
oh, and that time we went to Venice
mhm. Yeah.
for the training. Yeah, earlier in the year before in 2010. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was incredible. And I got to go back to Italy for a big 3-week training myself. So it was yeah, that was the really cool part, I'd say as well. I agree.
Yeah.
Any other places that you had gone to that
Um,
aside
yes.
from traveling all over Europe, which you get to do because you guys had 4-day weekends once a month?
Yeah. And we also did food inspections all over the place too.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was work as well then. No, I mean that was and then besides Africa, so for Sierra Leone
Hmm.
and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, that was a big deal. And
mhm.
do you have any advice for new graduates or anyone who wishes to transition to public health?
Yeah,
Or
I think so right now it's actually, there's a lot of things going on in the world. Public health is a little bit difficult to place to get into, especially if you're trying to, looking at some of the federal agencies. I think everything's going to come around. The pendulum's going to swing back. I think jobs are going to start opening in the next several years. Again, I think that it's the little known hidden gem. There are veterinarians working in all kinds of facets of public health, from USDA to CDC to state public health to, yeah, and state public health vet is great. So the job that I do is responding to animal bite and rabies risks every day. I mean, every day is a new day with a crazy story. Taking mosquito-borne diseases and brucellosis and everything that's a reportable human disease, we're conducting surveillance on. And then we have to do outreach and training, and education. And like today, I was trying to talk with our laboratorians about what do you do when you get a bat that comes in and it's alive? And we have microbiologists that open the box and they're like, oopsie, this bat's alive. And it sort of freaks them out. Um,
as it
so
should.
Yes, yes. Or they send the whole cat in with guts, because that's the thing. Like the rabies labs tend to be at the Public Health Institute, which they're only used to receiving serum tubes or swabs from people. Not the only animal parts that they would receive is for rabies testing. So when they get like the whole animal, it sort of freaks them out, that kind of stuff. Um, and just talking to everybody, yeah, I mean, like I have two great epidemiologists that work for me, and I just feel like I love everything I do every day. It's just there's always something fascinating about infectious diseases, and it's just, yeah, I really do think that this is the culmination of my career, and I see why people don't want to give it up. So,
Yeah, and it besides that, you're always learning. You
mhm.
have to stay on top of stuff. That is appealing, keeps our minds sharp as well. And I do want to share something pretty cool about the VA and rabies. I went into my doctor and I said, hey, I want to get updated on my rabies vaccination because I'm probably going to be doing some clinical practice again. Like we don't really retire as
No,
veterinarians, so,
no,
and he actually put in for me to get my rabies boosters. He
very
did.
good. At least
Yeah,
he knew what he was supposed to do too, because that's
through
what
the
we end up
VA.
doing. Mhm.
Yeah. And so I was actually kind of delighted by that. And so I wanted to share how cool that was. But now you've made me interested about this because there is a position in Washington State that's come available for. So I think I'll put my application in and see
Yeah.
what happens.
I mean, we deal with bird flu. Like right now, we're dealing, with bird flu, and we're monitoring like the people that are exposed. So I'm talking to them about the risks and how they handled the birds that they had. I mean, we've got a lot of backyard hobby breeders,
Oh, so
and
many. Yeah, so
yeah,
many.
and
Oh,
so
yeah.
they're getting exposed. It's really sad, because all their birds are just dying like in a
Oh,
day,
I know.
and
I know.
having to handle with that. And so you just never know like what disease is going. I sent a kissing bug off the other day for Chagas testing because we get that periodically.
Mm.
And I remember we had a military dog that just acutely died at Fort Campbell actually, and it ended up being a Chagas case. He had an enlarged heart that went
Pretty sure that
undiagnosed.
was, I'm pretty sure I saw that written up in one of the newsletters that was
So
still in. So in
yeah.
the end though, do you feel like that our association is a really good place for networking and seeing this posted on the jobs and so forth?
Of course, yeah, that and seeing like publications that we get out. I've had several of those. We did a publication on our Ehrlichia being transmitted through transplants, organ transplants.
Oh, yeah.
So
Mhm.
we've done a Cache Valley virus investigation in sheep, and the potential for exposure to people. It's just every day's different. We might go out and collect ticks one day, collect mosquitoes, and we've submitted a bunch of mosquitoes for testing. We had a locally acquired malaria case.
Wow.
It's just, yeah,
Locally.
locally
Okay.
acquired. Yeah, we had it. In
Yeah.
fact, it was a pediatric patient that had never traveled and ended up with
See?
malaria. So you just never know. So we had to go respond to that as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's just it. We have to remember that these opportunities exist, and then we network, and then the door may be open, and we decide whether we're going to walk through it. And that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Laura. I
Sure.
appreciate it, and
Yeah.
it's good to visit with you again. I'll talk to
You
you soon.
too. Yep. I will be
Okay.
here in the background.
All right. Thank you. And I'd like to ask Captain Schall. Jess, can you unmute yourself and I am so happy to meet you. Thanks for
Yeah,
joining us today. Can
yeah,
you
thank you for having me.
introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing right now? And then we'll go back and kind of discuss the past. So
Sure.
welcome.
Thank you. So my name is Jess. Right now I'm the officer in charge for US Air Force Academy and F.E. Warren Air Force Base. A brief description of my job. Sure.
Yep.
So I'm in charge of 26 working dogs over 3 bases. I have a herd of horses I'm in charge of, and I have a flock of 12 falcons at US Air Force Academy. I'm also kind of the subject matter expert, and this is the same for veterinary corps officers all over the world. We're kind of like the subject matter experts for like the zoonotic diseases, public health. We work closely with the base's public health for bite reports. We have the food mission that was talked about. And yeah, I'm under so I'm out in Colorado Springs, and my command's out at Fort Carson, which is a pretty big Army base. So I'm kind of outlying from them.
Yeah, I went to high school at Colorado Springs. We touched down, my stepfather was in the Army. We touched down in Colorado Springs my last year of high school. And
Okay.
so that got me the residency too. So when you said, oh, the Air Force, okay, the Air Force Academy, I'm well familiar. Yay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, that Colorado was my home for the 10, 11 years I was there to get ready to get into Colorado State University and stayed there. That was my whole time up there at Fort Collins going to school. So you mentioned the horses, which I had heard or seen something posted last year that they're going to do away with the horses, having those as the ceremonial. But I guess you're saying that's now not necessarily the case. And then just real briefly, you're also dealing with the falcons as well. Okay.
Yeah. So with the horses, so these are they're called non-appropriated funds horses. So they're government owned, but they're not.
Oh, they're at the,
horses.
okay.
Yeah. So they're owned by in the Air Force, it's called FSS, but it's kind of like, I don't know how to, like the MWR equivalent
Yeah.
for
Okay,
Air
so those
Force,
are
which is like
more-
family fun, base enrichment, I guess.
Wow.
So they own them.
lucky. Yeah.
Huh?
That's so lucky. I mean, that, so they're riding horses, therefore.
Yeah.
Oh,
For just
all right.
people. Yeah.
They're
Just like
not
trail
for-
ride, have fun. Yeah.
oh my
Um,
gosh.
And then
Yeah.
the Falcons they are government-owned animals, but they're honestly just mascots. They just go to the Air Force football games and do shows and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, perfect. Well, see, it just goes to show you what happens. I'm gonna come back to that because I do know Army veterinarians do end up seeing all different kinds of animals that all of a
Mhm.
sudden you have military working deer and military working goats as well.
Yes.
So, okay, so tell us, how and when did you know that you wanted to be a veterinarian?
So my true story kind of deviates from how I got into vet school, to be honest. But when I was like 5, I loved Steve Irwin, and I was like, I wanted his job. And my dad was like, I think he's a vet, and I said, okay, cool, I'm gonna be a vet. And then I just kind of stuck with that through my life. And then as like I got older, I got involved more with equine because I did some horseback riding. So really got involved with volunteering at equine hospitals. When it came time to apply to vet school, I was like, I'm gonna be an equine vet through and through. And then I had a friend come up to me because I also had an interest in livestock and a bit of public health too, just like dipping my toe in. And then my friend said, hey, there's a scholarship that the Army offers that they'll pay for your school. You can do public health and work with all the
Looking at it a little
animals.
bit that way.
And I was like, huh.
Yeah.
So my dad's retired Navy captain, so I'm and grandpa, and so I've moved around all a bit. So I'm used to the military life. And I was like, okay, I'm used to that life. They'll pay for my school. Okay. And so I learned more about it. And really what drove me to apply was just how diverse, guess the mission is. Like, I don't know, I might have some ADHD in me, but like I love the different jobs we have. Like one day you're seeing clinics, one day you're working with horses, next day you're going to like a lettuce plant. Like I love the variety and I'm here for that. And I love the fact that this job allows us to like each day, like we're impacting the multitude of people as opposed to like, cool, I vaccinated 5 dogs for rabies. Yes, I feel like most vet students, absolutely.
Yeah, Laura just posted, most of us have undiagnosed ADHD. And yeah, I've been accused of that. And I'm not going to get diagnosed. I'm just going to live with it.
We got a
So,
little squirrel brains in us. But yeah, so that's really what drove me to get into the military. And yeah, I love it. It's pretty awesome. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that's funny. I think it's so cool when you were 5. Yeah, I feel like I've heard the stories because we do have interviews of a number of veterinarians already on our YouTube channel, and some of them it's like they're either like you and myself, where we were very young and it was just that was the focus that was going to happen, or like Laura, somebody going like, okay, is it going to be med school or is it going to be law school, or oh, well, no, it's going to be yeah, okay, yeah. So it's just real interesting how that plays out. So where did you do your college, undergraduate and vet school?
Yeah, absolutely. I did community college first. Wasn't smart enough to get straight into university. So I did 3 years of community college, and then I transferred to UC Davis, where I eventually went to vet school. I tracked livestock in school because I learned once you get this vet scholarship, you're told you can track whatever you want. So I said, cool. I still want to do livestock and the public health and herd health thing. And I worked pretty extensively with a lot of equine hospitals, but at that point, I worked a lot with equine owners. There's a select few. I know there's some good ones in this world, but there's a select few. I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And so that's where I geared. Maybe I want to do more livestock mixed animals. So then I tracked mixed animal my 4th year.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that I feel that it truly does help that when you get into your undergrad, if it's the same place where the vet school is, somehow I feel like it's almost a shoe-in, if there is even a shoe-in type of a thing. Yeah. Did you end up getting any other dual degree, or did you do anything that was like postdoc work or anything like that?
I believe at the time, I don't think I could with the scholarship, because then the Army would have to pay for additional schooling. But for the scholarship I got, I guess I didn't, and I think that's because I didn't think I could.
Sure, yeah. And then, but I know that back in 2000 and so Laura said she did 2008, I think, was when you sat for the ACVPM, and it was becoming a requirement even for the reservists. And so I assume then that you jumped on that, right? You got your board certification, ACVPM? Nobody's hassling you about that. I was hassled so bad.
No.
What?
Yeah, no. I mean, I know most of my friends in the Army are gonna study for it, but I don't think it's more of a push. Yeah, it's more of a career progression, I guess, right now. Like, keep promoting up, and in like the vet corps, when you promote up, you can go the public health route, which they're called Bravos, or you can go clinical medicine route called Foxtrots, and those are the ones who go and do residencies like internal med surgery for like essentially the working dog program.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been pushed towards. No one's really mentioned the board certification to me.
Say anything.
No one wrapped me out.
It's like a torture. You have to go in that study group, and every week you're doing that, and then you have to sit for it, and then if you're a genius, you can pass it.
That's what it seems like.
I found it scary. I was like, oh, there's my contract after 12. I signed a contract 3 times. After 12 years, I was like, I think I want to just go home. I'm ready to just go home, not be in the Army anymore. They're going to make me do the ACVPM. I don't want to. And so what did I do after that? I did 2 masters. I did dual
I'll
masters.
let you know when I get that email.
Yeah. But you know what? Hint, VC chief is on the call. Oh,
hi, sir.
dang it. Sorry, I mentioned it. Okay, forgive me. All right, so walk us.
The vet corps team is going to make me take the board exam. It's going to happen now.
Dang it. So what year did you graduate? And then what's now let's break it down, because when we all talk about, Laura said, oh, she was in charge of the FIGV program, we know what that is, because we were like, why don't you break it down? You graduated from vet school. They threw you out into, like, oh, you're an OIC all of a sudden. And by the way, you're also a clinical veterinarian. And you've got to do all of that. And yeah. So tell us about what happened. What year did you graduate?
Yeah, I graduated Davis 2023. I did my FIGV also at Fort Campbell. And yeah, small world. I honestly really enjoyed it. Weather, not so much, because I'm going from California to Tennessee. That weather was rough, but Nashville was a good time for food. And yeah, then the Army did literally, my first duty station was in Incirlik, Turkey.
Oh, okay.
And that's a 1 year unaccompanied, and now this is my second duty station.
So tell us real briefly about Turkey, because I was in the Balkans. I was over in Kosovo. Laura was as well, and personally, I thought it was just amazing. It was just amazing.
It was, I'll be honest, at first when I got those orders, like, wasn't even on my list, because you can like rack and stack where you want to go. Wasn't even on my list. And so I went out there kind of kicking and screaming, but it ended up being probably the most amazing years of my life, honestly. Like, in terms of growing as my skills as a veterinarian, I got, within my 3rd week there, I was managing a really sick working dog who had a heat stroke. He came in with a temp of almost 110. And we had to medevac him, and I had 2 soldiers with me and a bunch of brand new handlers. Like, talk about like hitting the ground running. But that dog made it. We got him out. He's doing great now. But just from there, it's so going from
incredible.
Yeah, so being like a brand new vet, being thrown out in the country, like being the only vet in this whole country where it's rabies endemic. They have Chagas. The government there doesn't like to acknowledge they have a rabies endemic issue, stray animals and all that. It was a huge learning curve for me, but honestly so cool, because like Laura and you said, I got to like travel all over Europe. I got to meet the vet corps chief in Germany at a conference there, which was awesome. Yeah, it was just a really, really, really cool duty station where honestly I grew so much as a doctor, as an officer, and just as a person. Yeah.
Sounds like you also got some good support
I
as
did.
well.
I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, my husband was super supportive here. And at that time, I don't know if you heard, so Turkey itself, the base was like open to families. It was like a 2-3 year duty station once upon a time. And then there was a coup where the Turkish people were protesting NATO. So that caused the base shut down. And then, so families weren't able to come. And now when I got there, when I left, that's when they started bringing back the dependents. So I got to help kind of plan for that, bringing pets back, veterinary care, and just it was a huge public health mission, to be honest. Really One Health, working with the medical docs to preparing for like if we had potential casualties from the recent incident that happened, like being able to receive them. It was, I can go on and on, but that was basically the gist of it. So it was an awesome year, really awesome.
So the challenges are huge, but it's also exciting. And I'll be honest, I think personally, we might be hooked on adrenaline, and that's really what the appeal is. Let's just admit it. We're adrenaline junkies. And so, it was that, it was kind of a thing. So, I think that sounds so exciting. And when you do get to go out off base, I'm not sure how much you were able to do that, to eat on the local economy, to do a little bit of sightseeing, to go to the bazaars, to get some really cool handmade items, and all of that was to me it was beyond exciting. So I would say that was a big plus as well. And so even in the midst of all the work, you do have time that you get to be some downtime, recreation time as well.
No, absolutely. And we had ability to go off base. I even rented a car with my housemate and we drove off base, which was basically real life Mario Kart. And that was a skill all of its own. I should truly get defensive driving. I hope you hear me, sir, for that one. But it was cool to just immerse in the culture, because like a Donna turkey is not super touristy. Like it is as like in the culture as you can get. And like you're working, and like when you occupy bases overseas, they're not like US partner with those countries. And so I'm working with Turkish, and it was just cool to like learn how to work with people of different cultures and groups, and kind of meeting in the middle for that.
And you do bring up a good point. I'm friends with people that I was at the bases that were locals as well, local nationals, and working with local veterinarians. That was also very exciting.
Yes.
Somehow our what would you say, like the language barrier, not necessarily. We didn't really have that. So do you feel like the food safety mission is appealing to you? Because I know for me it was very exciting, so much so I ended up using my GI Bill for a master's in food safety. So many veterinarians, for some reason, they don't like the food safety. What about you?
I'll be honest, I'm a little indifferent to it. I honestly enjoy going on commercial audits, because it's like that show, like How It's Made. Like it's kind of cool to be like, oh, that's how
Totally, that was me too. I love getting behind the scenes. Yeah.
And that's cool. And just also monitoring, like I'm noticing like your metal detector is not working. You should get that fixed. So I don't know. I learn every single audit, and every time like a plant manager walks me through, I learn so much from them. Like, oh, look, like these are the chemicals that protect against listeria or something that are safe for people. And overseas too, like overseas plants are phenomenal.
They are, the ISO standards there. Yeah,
It's
incredible.
insane. So like those reports are honestly pretty boring. I don't know if that answered your question. I'm kind of
Yeah.
indifferent to it. I think that's super interesting. But sometimes when it gets down to the nitty gritty science of it, it's just a lot more learning on top of like our other jobs and stuff. So I'm indifferent to it. I don't hate it. I'll do it. And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
So it has its pluses as well.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure people knew that, as when you're in the Army, you do have the food mission and you have the animal mission.
Mhm.
But then you also have public health. So you're considered the subject matter expert on, as you said, the bite reports you had to do because of rabies, and you have to be aware of all the zoonotic, we're considered zoonotic disease experts. And so you get that aspect too. How do you feel about that? Because again, this is not quite the animal mission. It's, guess what? Public health is thrown in there with the Army. Tell me about that.
Oh yeah, that is probably one of my favorite aspects of this mission. Is I love the idea of working in like infectious disease outbreaks and like helping the human doctors like triage. Like it's a giant herd health basically, and like that's what we were taught in school, right? Like packs of dogs in a shelter or a herd of cattle. Like we're taught like about isolation, like mass vaccination, and all the. And I don't think the yes, ma'am. I don't think like it's touched on in school, but like I don't think people realize like how what we learned in school just can like impact the many with that. Again, I don't know if I answered your question, but I
No,
love it. I think it's awesome.
that's it. That's it. And again, people just don't comprehend. While we always say that clinical veterinarians are from regular practice are welcome in the American Association of Food Safety and Public Health Veterinarians, because we all know we deal with food safety, pet food safety certainly, as well as public health. But in the Army, it really, really is part of our job every day. So, so yeah, I think that's really neat. I want to give you a minute or two just to finish up and tell us, what advice do you have for new graduates? Then I'm going to open it up for you and Laura to do a Q&A for everyone. So tell me, Jess, what advice do you have for new graduates or anyone who wants to get into and transition to public health and as a non-clinical career, or even just looking at the Army itself? Are you open to taking questions and email type of stuff more about
Absolutely.
that?
I'll be brief. For the people interested in public health, honestly, just have an open mind. It's more than just a desk job, right? It is like critical thinking in a very unique way. And honestly, and Laura can correct me if I'm wrong, I do feel like, it's like a normal 9 to 5, you're not on call. You can probably still do relief and still do your clinical medicine, but it's just be open to it. It might be a career people would be interested in. And same with the Army. Like I would honestly talk to recruiters last. I would talk to people who've actually been in first and kind of get their input on it.
My God, that's key right there. People have, talk to everybody who's walked this path before, and then
Because
talk to
recruiters will tell you this is the path, but talk to people who walked it first. But yeah, that's my advice.
Recruiters lie all the time too, and they don't know exactly what we do. I mean, so that's the problem. Even the AMED recruiters have no idea. So yeah. So you have to reach out and talk to, I would say, like, talk to multiple people, because everybody's had a different experience, right? So you, it sounds like, have had a great experience so far. I feel like I had a great experience, but I also know people who did not have a great experience. So I feel like you got to get both sides.
Absolutely.
Of everything. But
That's a good
I love what you said, because you pointed out exactly what I feel about my life. And that is, I am working herd health, but on the human side. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, veterinarians are so well qualified for this. We look at, there's a lot of times when I'm thinking like, why aren't the human healthcare providers like thinking about this? Why aren't they looking at it this way? And it's because they're trained on the individual level, and that this one patient right in front of me is everything that matters. And so they don't think about the whole one health concept. When we start looking at, plus they're so specialized. So they're like, I am the electrical cardiac doctor. I do not work on the muscle. Like I am not the mechanical cardiac doctor. So they don't look at the whole picture, and I still feel like we're so blessed in veterinary medicine that we still learn every system and have not specialized so in so much detail that we can look at it holistically. So
Yeah, that's a good point. So thank you. And also and I'm going to throw this in there. Also remember we have active duty and reserve. As I remember the numbers, and it might not be the same. There are about 500 active duty veterinarians and about 200 reserve veterinarians. And then you can go back and forth between the two if you're
just jump
crazy
in and
about a
out.
lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
I'll even throw in there, Air Force, they take veterinarians, but the
They
Air
do.
Force vets don't do any clinical medicine. They are strictly food. And I have yet to meet a sad one, to be honest. Like they're all
Yeah.
very happy.
That's true.
They
We
also
have
promote very well.
They sneeze and they promote. It's insane.
They do, yeah. So I will say my first assignment was an Air Force base and as an Army person, and I came off the street as a veterinarian too. And I did not go to officer basic for 9 months. So I had a little bit of a different experience where they threw me in at an Air Force base far away from my command, which was Fort Carson as well. I was in Phoenix, Arizona. And yeah, and they were like, here, just go be a vet. And so that was
before
it was
FIGV.
before FIGV, right. So because I could be a vet, so I knew how to be a vet, but I didn't know how to salute. I learned how to salute in the front yard of the family member that was at West Point. Yeah, he taught me how to salute. We went to a surplus store and got my uniform. We ripped off the name tape and had my new name tape sewn on. Yeah, it was it was a different world, but yeah, so but yeah, so I mean it was great though because learning about the Air Force vets would come over to the clinic because they'd want to go see the military dogs so they could get their little puppy fix. And then I would learn that they were working on STDs and other gross things that people have. But so they get to work on lots of really cool infectious diseases as well, which I love. But yeah, so I think, and then there's public health service, which I don't think people think about, but the public health service is the uniformed non-military service that can be assigned at FDA, CDC, Indian Health Services, and a bunch of stuff like that. So I think we need to throw them out there as well, the public health service too. So.
Yeah,
And National Guard. So when I was in Trinidad, actually, one of the lawyers, I think his wife was in the Guard in Mississippi as a veterinarian. So it's a little bit unusual. They aren't that common, but they're becoming more common in National Guard, especially when they started rolling out like the civil support units and stuff like that for ag stuff. So
humanitarian.
yeah, lots of
Yeah.
humanitarian missions to do too. So.
Does anybody have any questions at all? Did we do like an amazing job or what?
Answered
Hi, I have a
all
quick
the
question.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. So I'm a second year vet student, and I'm interested maybe in being a military veterinarian. Did any of you all do, like when you were in school, did you do something over the summer to help you figure out what you wanted to do after school? So I'm kind of trying to plan my last summer of freedom, I guess you could say. And I didn't know if any of you kind of dipped your toe into being a military veterinarian, or did you kind of jump into the deep end, so as to say?
Go ahead, either of you jump in because this is your
I believe I have to double check the scholarship, but I think you have to apply for the scholarship your first year if you wanted to the HPSP route. After that, you have to wait until after graduation to do direct commission, which you can go that route. For me, because I did HPSP, my second year of vet school was basic training. So really what I did to get my foot in, I did shadow a veterinarian since I went to UC Davis. I shadowed the Army vet at Travis Air Force Base. I got to go on an audit with him. I got to see some working dogs with him. That's kind of how I got my toe into it. And then I kind of had a mentor who was a 4th year HPSP recipient. She was going to be an Army vet. She was stationed in Okinawa, Japan. She told me so much about the program. So that's kind of how I got involved with it. You go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, so I was the opposite. I didn't even think about a scholarship or the Army. Like I said, when I was in vet school, it was afterwards with the whole 9/11 thing and then visiting the military academy. And so I went and saw a recruiter and got in that way as a direct commission. So when I went to basic, it was essentially people that had been out in practice. So like, for example, I had been out for 3 years. Somebody else in my class had been out for 6. There's somebody that had been out for 9 as practicing veterinarian. So that's where the direct commission comes in. So essentially, you're not getting like the scholarship program, but you have to put in a packet and then it has to go before a board and then the board and it's all a numbers game with military anyway. So it's a numbers game. If they need veterinarians, then it's an easier time to get in. You might get bonuses, you might get various incentives. At the time, like I said, when my cousin was saying, oh, they'll pay off your student loans. Well, that actually wasn't true because they didn't need anybody right away. So they did not pay off my student loans the first year, at least. It wasn't until I was 5 or 6 years in. Oh, it was when I jumped
Like
in
a
from active duty.
retention. Yeah.
Yeah, so but it was really, I got off of active duty and I went into the reserves. Then I got my student loans started getting paid off. And it's just a numbers game. Like they were losing veterinarians, so then they needed more. So then they start offering these retention bonuses and things like that. But I definitely think that I don't know where you're located, Paige, but I would recommend reaching out. Like we can connect you to, or somebody here in our group can connect you to, maybe somebody local that you could actually visit with at a nearby base. Because that's the thing that wasn't brought up here was, I think we didn't mention that because like the Air Force vets don't do clinical work, the Army vets are actually stationed with Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Army at a variety of, because we're the DoD like service providers for all of the military animals for all of the services. So you could be stationed at Key West Naval Air Station. You could be stationed in Cuba. You could be stationed. I was at an Air Force base my first several years. I didn't go into an Army post for many years. So there's just a lot of different places to go to.
And you're right, that is a very it's very interesting there how they were trying to get active duty, and so you have the chance of getting through like Jess did, or they came after me based on my resume uploaded to AVMA website because they wanted reserve veterinarians, and then you just walked in and ended up talking to recruiter basically after talking to your family friend. Alberto has this particular question, where are these types of jobs usually listed? And that kind of segues in. So, again, just to sum it up, and I put my email address as we're coming to a close here for Paige, Alberto. If you're interested, I'll forward your questions and contact for Laura and Jess. Just let me know who you want to talk to, and I can answer some of those. Is that you can get in by walking into a recruiter's office. I mean, they'll be shocked because they won't be a medical recruiter probably, and they'll be like, oh, let me find somebody. But you have the reservists, and then you have active duty. And within the active duty, you have these two methods. One was, again, seeing a recruiter. The other was, as Jess did, you apply to the scholarship program. And then the Army will put you through veterinary school. And we're speaking specifically for Army Veterinary Corps. I myself, I had a colonel reach out to me from the reserves. They were trying to fill their quota because it was the surge for 2008, and they needed more reserve veterinarians to deploy who knew how to be veterinarians and bosses, basically, from the get-go. And so they were just like, hey, we need you to join and be a reservist. And so they were headhunting me. It was the only time I've been headhunted. I need a new job, but I need to not be headhunted for a combat zone. So just so everybody knows, I'm going to throw this out there right now. So, all right. With that, again, I have my email up there. Anybody feel free to reach out. And this is going to be recorded and uploaded onto our association web YouTube channel. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We had a good bunch of folks here, and it was real fun to interact with you all. And I see we had over 10 people tonight, so we did even better. Oh, Laura says she's on LinkedIn. guys, don't forget to check. Jess, offhand, are you on LinkedIn too? No, she goes, oh, she's just flying under the radar. It's going to be a little hard to get a hold of Jess, isn't it?
The
I'm gonna
Army
have
never
to look
told
her
me to
up.
make one. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Love it.
Well, if you're in the membership roster for our association, I know how to get to that and find you. So,
Well, I can throw my email in right now if that's more helpful. Or Mitchell, he went to vet school with me and graduated with me. He also has like my number, my emails, and everything too.
all right. We'll track
I'll
you
throw my
down.
email in.
Thanks a million. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, do put that down. Again, thank you all. I'm going to stay on for a couple of minutes and stop the recording here.
I'm going to put a plug in also for the National Association of State Public Health Vets. They do have a listserv. It's not very active right now, but you can be a student member. So you can also be a student member of them, the NASPHV, but certainly being a member of the Food Safety and Public Health Vet Association is also a great way because all of the job board stuff that gets posted and things like that. So
Oh, good
I just
point.
want to throw that out there.
Yeah, that actually is a good thing to know too. At the end of the day, finding a job sometimes is really where we go on a lot of things. Don't forget, we do have a job board with our association. It's free for members, and it's getting to be pretty good. We have about 20 jobs listed on there right now. So I encourage everybody to take a look. All right, thank you all. I'm stopping the recording. Anybody wants to stick
you.
around